Good afternoon. This is the professor, the Blue Pill Professor, coming at you from the internet and talking to you about the things that we really care about. I'm not going to really get to shit test today, as I promised last time, because I have another even more important and valuable topic to discuss, namely female attraction. This is another reason why we call it the Matrix and why we use the Matrix analogy, because everything we have been told about female attraction was a lie. Everything we've been told by a woman about what attracts her was bullcrap. And I said that before, I will say it again. So I want to put some of those lies to rest today. And we're going to start with a book that's not really a red pill book, but I guess we can call it an honorary red pill book. And the name of the book is A Billion Wicked Thoughts. Subtitled, What the World's Largest Experiment Reveals About Human Desire. And what they did is they took all the search engines and the porn sites to find out what turns people on. And they found out a number of really amazing things that are totally consistent with the red pill. The first thing you have to understand about sexual attraction is that we are attracted to the other sex. We're attracted to those things that are best for making and raising babies. Thus, men are attracted to a thin waist, large boobs, an hourglass figure. You know the drill. Very basic primal attraction. But as it turns out, women are also subject to primal attraction cues. But they're a little more hidden, and they're not as obvious. And women have made it their mission in life to deceive men about what it is that actually attracts them. So let's cut through the bullshit and let's actually reveal it. Pull back the veil, if you will. The book describes female attraction as the Marla Maples detective agency. In other words, women are looking for signs that the man they are seeking is a high-value man. In short, they're looking for signs of dominance. So men look for signs of youth and beauty, while women look for signs of dominance. If you think about it, that's exactly what is necessary for raising and making babies. It is a manosphere axiom that desire cannot be negotiated, and this is because desire is located in the lowest region of the brain. It's really the reptilian brain where desire is located, and we don't think about it consciously. We don't see, guys, you don't look at a hot babe, get a boner, and think about the logistics. You just react. And I'm telling you, that is exactly the way women react. Once you know the female attraction triggers. So women use what the book calls the Maples detective agency to look for signs of dominance in a man. We start out with the famous social psychology experiment where a group of men and women, attractive men and women, would approach a member of the opposite sex and ask them one of three questions. The first question is, would you like to go out with me tonight? They could also ask, would you come over to my apartment tonight? Or they could ask, would you like to come over and have sex with me? So we've got three questions asked of men and of women. Let's look at the statistics, shall we? Because this experiment has been repeated many different times. The men who said yes to date me were almost 50%. So half of the men were willing to go on a date with a woman of the opposite sex. No surprise there. But here's where it gets interesting. 70% of the men agreed to go home with the attractive woman of the opposite sex. And 75% of the men agreed to have immediate sex. So men are considerably more likely to just agree to immediate sex than they are to even go on a date. Ponder that for a moment. And while you're pondering that, consider what happens when you ask women these questions at random. Well, it turns out that women are actually more likely, slightly more likely, to go on a date with men. About 56% of the women said yes to the attractive man. And what percentage do you think agreed to immediately go home with the attractive man? Well, with men it was 70%. With women it is 6%. 6%. Not a very good success rate. But what about, maybe you'll have better success by asking a woman if she wants to have immediate sex. You're a good-looking guy, right? Well, as it turns out, that approach, walking up to a strange woman and asking her to go to bed with you, nets 3/4 of the men and exactly 0% of the women. That is right. None of the women agreed to have sex on demand. Keep that in mind, guys, and try not to use that tactic because it ain't going to work. So what does work? Well, what we do is we attempt, most of us, will ask the woman, well, what turns you on? And then she'll tell you a bunch of bull crap. Why doesn't that work? Are women all liars? Well, yes, they actually are all liars. But they're not necessarily lying about this particular feature because science is very well settled on this issue. They use what's called a plethysmograph, where they insert a device into the vagina to measure arousal. And then they show pornographic pictures. They'll show, guys having sex and girls having sex and orangutans having sex and dogs having sex and shirtless guys and shirtless girls. And then they ask the woman to measure her arousal. And then the device measures her actual arousal. And we find a total disconnect between what women say and what actually arouses them. As it turns out, just about anything arouses a woman. You can show her monkey sex, you can show her gay sex, you can show her lesbian sex, you can show her shirtless men. It pretty much arouses her the same way. But she will only tell you, if she's heterosexual, she will only tell you that she's aroused by the heterosexual sex. And she will honestly believe it. But the Pussy Monitor says otherwise. So we've established that women are not up for immediate sex, number one. Number two, we've established that the sexual mind and the sexual body in women are completely separated. They are not conscious of their sexual arousal in many cases. So therefore, the best way to arouse a woman is subconsciously, by activating the arousal triggers, in particular the dominance triggers in women. The book claims that women are looking for several types of cues. So they have different detectives on the job in their detective agency. They have an emotional detective, which looks for cues that the man is emotionally dominant, that he is strong, that he can handle her varying emotions without losing his shit. They use a social detective, which looks for signs that the man is socially dominant, that he controls social situations, that he is a man that other men look up to. They use a cultural detective, which is responsible for female plasticity. In other words, sexual plasticity basically means that women can, shall we say, swing both ways if the culture supports that type of behavior. And the bottom line for women is, in every interaction, whether it's your wife or a new girl you meet on the street, she is subconsciously evaluating whether or not you are the type of man who can give her babies that have the best chance to survive. Are you the type of man who stands up for himself? Are you a dominant man who can protect her and your children? That is what turns women on. And throughout history, the men who were able to do that were the apex alphas. They were the village leaders. They were the big, strong, what we call today Chad Thundercock. They were the big guys, the strong guys, the dominant men. And while women today will tell you they want a sensitive, sweet, caring, kind man who will take care of them, that is not what their body agenda is telling them. Their body agenda wants a strong, confident, dominant man who will take care of them and put them in their place when necessary. And let me repeat that because it's very controversial. Yes, they want a man who will put them in their place and who can stand up to their bullshit without losing their cool. That is why stoicism and having a stoic, I don't give a fuck attitude is so attractive to so many women. If you don't think women prefer alphas, then consider romance novels. From 15,000 Harlequin romance novels, the top profession of the male protagonist was doctor, cowboy, boss, prince, rancher, knight, surgeon, king, bodyguard, and sheriff. And you'll notice, not a hairdresser, not a kindergarten teacher, not a plumber, no bureaucrat, no claims adjuster, Not even a builder or a welder or a guy who works with his hands. Note that list. They're all strong, competent, dominant men. Now, of course, women want that sweet inner goo, that nice guy who treats them so sweet and wonderful, right? It's not completely incorrect. Yes, they want that guy, but they only want that guy who is nice to them. Not nice to everybody, because if you're nice to everybody, her inner body self is telling her, well, you can't protect me or my children. So, yeah, be nice sometimes. And as the book says, package your inner goo in a very hard shell of strong alpha. And a couple other attraction cues in women are quite counterintuitive. But when you think about it, you'll say, oh, of course. And that is, the first one I would mention is the irresistibility cue. Women are absolutely turned on when they are found irresistible, when men desire them. That is a very powerful cue. I do caution you, you need to balance the desirability cue with being needy. Because the biggest turnoff for a woman is a man who is needy and is begging for sex. They just see that as a little boy begging for his candy, and it's extremely anti-seductive. But at the same time, if it's a strong man who grabs her and throws her down, losing control, women find that incredibly attractive and arousing. Of course, this is the reason for 50 Shades of Grey. This is the reason for the nearly ubiquitous fantasies about rape and submission and domination that women have. So I'm already running out of time, and I would just like to list 10 attraction cues that any man can have and use to help restore attraction. First and foremost is get in shape. Lose that fat gut, build some muscles. Number 2, build confidence. And brothers, fake it before you make it if you have to. Just act confident. 3, provide physical protection. Of course, this is the traditional way to get your spouse interested in you for life, but that has largely been taken away by modern society. But there's still some things you can do. Well, number 1, you can get in shape and build some muscles. Take a martial art. You can kill spiders. You can fix up the house, making the room for the new baby. These are beta, these aren't alpha things, but they provide physical protection, they provide comfort, and they provide physical attraction. Probably most important is to lead. You must lead your wife. You must lead the relationship. 5, provide positive emotional support. And I say, don't be a bitch. Be a rock. Be an oak. Be a strong man. Don't dump negative shit on your wife. Don't complain. Be stoic. Be strong. That is sexually arousing to women. Number 6, give her strong emotions. And 7, control her emotional storms. One of the ways you do this, one of the best ways to do this, is by appropriately responding to shit tests. And I will pick up shit tests next week. We need to learn how to recognize them, and then we need to learn how to respond to them in order to begin building attraction. Because it controls her emotions, it controls her emotional storms when you do so. 8, be unfazed by her beauty. Don't worship at the pussy pedestal. Don't bow down. 9, be mysterious and aloof. And 10, which is the subject of my epic book, Saving a Low-Sex Marriage, A Man's Guide to Dread, Seduction, and the Long Game, is to show her covertly that you have other options. And we'll pick up next week talking about shit tests, helping to identify them, and ultimately we're going to move into the stages of dread and how you begin showing her covertly that you have other options. So thank you, everybody, for listening. Have a great day, and remember, a red pill a day keeps the divorce lawyers at bay. So have a good rest of your afternoon, and cheers.